Chapter 21. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Alright, I'll take you all home, Nangong Yan declared after a moment's thought. The women started to protest, but he cut them off. Seriously, it's late, and you're all by yourselves. I'd feel terrible if anything happened. He added, without a flicker of emotion, I'd never forgive myself. This caused the three women to blush. Even Sage Huey's face tinted slightly pink, let alone Kasumigakaka Shiyu and Eri. Fortunately, the black-hearted senior sister was usually the one doing the teasing, so it wasn't too obvious. Eri, on the verge of outrage, opened her mouth, then snapped it shut, unable to find the words. Okay, that's settled. I'll let Sajiri know. With that, he headed upstairs. As soon as he was out of earshot, Kasumigakaka Shiyu commented, it always feels like we're being played. Kato Megumi nodded. Yeah, but Yen-kun doesn't seem to do it on purpose. Eri, still flushed, looked away and scoffed. Ha! Guess the guy's got some class after all. If you didn't see the flush on her face, you'd think she was totally nonchalant. Nangong Yan's offer certainly boosted his image in the girl's eyes. Good thing his system wasn't based on approval ratings, or he'd be in trouble. A few minutes later, Nangong Yan returned. Sajiri's cool with it. Let's go. It's already 10. The three women quickly gathered their things, ready to leave. Meow. What's up? Yang strolled over, curious. It's late, I'm taking them home, Nangong Yan explained. Want to come along? Meow. I wanna go too. Yang immediately leaped into his arms. I swear, Xiaoyang actually understands you. Eri said, suspicious. Kasumigakaka Shiyu and Kato Megumi looked at Nangong Yan and Yang with questioning expressions. Huh, people say Yang gets what I mean. Nangong Yan chuckled, trying to brush it off. Maybe. Whatever, you know so much stuff, I wouldn't be surprised if you spoke cat. Eri shrugged it off. Stroking the little cat's fur, Nangong Yan thought to himself, actually, yeah, I kinda do. Chatting as they went, the group left Nangong's property. 4 people and a cat walked down the quiet night road. With the haze gone, the stars shone brightly. The distant nightscape and the sound of the breeze rustling through the leaves created a peaceful atmosphere. Kasumigakaka Shiyu sighed. I never thought the day would come when we'd be walking together like this at night. Definitely feels weird, Eri agreed. Kato Megumi simply found it surreal. Why was an ordinary person like her hanging out with these 3 amazing people? Nangong Yan was just as surprised. Here he was, walking with 3 beautiful girls at night, escorting them home. Suddenly, Nangong Yan held up a hand, stopping everyone. The girls looked at him, puzzled, when a loud disturbance echoed from up ahead. Kasumigakaka Shiyu and Eri exchanged worried glances. Anyone causing trouble on the street this late was either a drunk or a thug. Nangong Yan wouldn't mind so much if he were alone, but he had 3 girls to protect. What terrible luck. Besides, they'd come too far to turn back now. Kasumigakaka Shiyu whispered, what do we do? Think it'll be okay? Eri wasn't convinced. Kato Megumi, confused, had never been in this situation. Maybe her lack of presence had something to do with that. Let's just step aside and let them pass, Nangong Yan said, a slight frown on his face. Don't worry, I'll keep you safe. But leaving things to chance wasn't his style. Opening his system interface, Nangong Yan took stock. Level 3, 170/300. Skill points 5, leveled up. Must be from the party. I'll check that later. Opening the skills page, he found Tai Chi and poured all his points into it. Other skills, Tai Chi LV1 LV6. The influx of knowledge stunned him. Was level 6 Tai Chi this powerful? Based on the experience, it felt like he'd reached a master level. Hui, can you hold Yang for a sec? He passed the cat to Megumi Kato, wanting his hands free, just in case. Little guy, be good, whatever happens, don't get excited, okay? Leave it to me. he warned, not wanting Yang to charge into danger. Stretching, Nangong Yan turned to the three women. Don't worry, I'm a martial arts expert. That he dropped into a stance and threw a punch. Master-level Tai Chi allowed him to switch between speed and slowness at will. His punch flowed with controlled force, putting Xia Zhiqiu Shiyu and Ing Lily slightly at ease. Even if they didn't have much actual combat experience, they were capable of fighting 7 or 8 ordinary guys. They could train more and become stronger. The noise grew louder, and then they saw them, 4 guys, arms slung around each other, staggering closer. Nangong Yan wanted to curse. He'd assumed it was either drunks or thugs, but now it turned out to be drunk thugs. Drunks were usually harmless, and often knew when they should stop. Thugs liked causing trouble, but usually had enough sense to think about possible repercussions. This awful combination, plus 3 beautiful women, it couldn't be a coincidence. Sure enough, as the thugs drew closer, one of them spotted them. Whoa! Look at the pretty ladies. That's when Nangong Yan knew they were in trouble. The other thugs turned, their eyes widening at the sight of the women. Grinning lewdly, they began to swagger toward them. Nangong Yan stepped forward, blocking their path, and positioned himself between the thugs and the girls. The thugs frowned. Hey, what's the deal, buddy? One demanded. We're just trying to make some friends. What's it to ya? Another shouted. Nangong Yan raised his chin slightly, staring them down with a steely gaze. The thugs shifted uncomfortably under his intense scrutiny. Just as they were about to say something, Nangong Yan spat out a single word, scram. The thugs exploded. One of them lunged forward. Who the hell do you think you're talking to? Today, you're gonna learn that being a white knight ain't as easy as it looks. That he swung a fist at Nangong Yan's face. The women gasped and scrambled for their phones. Nangong Yan sidestepped, intercepting the punch by grabbing the thug's arm. He pulled the thug in close, pressed his shoulder to his chest, and unleashed his force. Bang! A dull thud, the thug slammed into the wall and slowly slid down until he collapsed unconscious on the ground. Everyone stared, shocked. Chapter 22. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The 3 girls were stunned. They hadn't expected Nangong Yan to be so strong, taking down someone right off the bat. The other thugs were just as surprised, completely caught off guard. What was their buddy doing on the ground? Shocked back to reality, several of them charged forward. Nangong Yan moved between the 2 leading guys and swung his hands. Boom! Their heads collided with a sickening thud, and they were instantly out of commission. The last guy froze, unsure whether to advance or retreat. He was about to beg for mercy, but Nangong Yan didn't give him the chance. He stepped up and punched him in the chin. Lights out, the 3 women stared, bewildered. The 4 tough guys had been neutralized in, 3 moves. Was he really some kind of martial arts expert? They were skeptical. They'd thought Nangong Yan was just putting on a show. After that crazy scene, the 3 women were still buzzing. Ing Lily finally asked, what do we do now? Call the cops. Nah, calling the cops is a waste of time. These guys know the precinct better than they know their own homes. They'd be back on the street by tomorrow, Nangong Yan explained. I'll call my dad and let him handle it. It's his problem now. Just a sec. He pulled out his phone and dialed his father's number. In an office, Nangong Yan's father, Nangong Shao, head of the Nangong family, was chatting with his wife, Sajri's mom, Shizuka. The phone rang. Nangong Shao glanced at it and said to his wife, it's Yen. What's that kid up to? Well, answer it. Xiaoyan must need something. Shizuka urged. Hello. You little rascal. What's going on? It was hard to tell if they even liked each other. Nangong Yan on the other end of the line rolled his eyes and said, annoyed, I need a favor. On the way home, I had to take down some drunk thugs who were causing trouble. Near Detective Slope. Can you take care of it? I don't care if you beat up a few punks, but why are you asking me to deal with something so trivial? What's the deal? scared of retaliation. His dad teased, testing Nangong Yan's patience. I'm not worried about myself, but what about the 3 girls here? What if someone comes knocking when I'm not around? Nangong Yan said calmly, waiting for his response. All right, leave it to me. Anything else? Nangong Xiao was silent for a moment. Hearing the seriousness in Nangong Yan's voice, he dropped the jokes and agreed. Another good thing is that Sajri can now talk to me face to face, and it won't be long before she can leave her room. He briefly updated him on Sajri's progress, then continued, that's all, bye. Wait. Before Nangong Xiao could say anything, Nangong Yan hung up. That little brat. He just hung up on me. Nangong Xiao's forehead veins throbbed. Jingxiang, who was sitting next to him, asked, what did Xiaoyan want? Oh, he got into a fight, asked me to clean it up. Nangong Xiao said casually. A fight? He hit someone. Jingxiang was shocked. He was walking some young women home, and a few thugs tried to get fresh with them. Nangong Xiao explained quickly. How many young women? What's going on? Has Hamura gone wild? Jingxiang asked, worried. Nangong Xiao grimaced. Why couldn't he explain this right? The questions just kept coming. Don't worry. From what I know about him, no way. Nangong Xiao said soothingly. Wait a sec, I'll make a call. Yeah, it's me, got a job for you. Send some guys to pick up a few thugs lying on the street near Detective Slope. Warn them they messed with the wrong people. Yeah, best if they disappear. Don't show their faces around here again. Okay. Bye. Speaking of which, that little rascal said Sajri should be able to leave her room soon. Anxious to change the subject before she asked more questions, Nangong Xiao spoke quickly. Huh? Xiao Sajri can leave her room? Shizuka exclaimed, surprised. It's not fair. I'm Sajri's mother. Why am I always the last to know? Not yet. But there are signs. Nangong Xiao said, sighing. Humph. I'm going to complain to Sajri-chan. She rushed out of the room. Nangong Xiao shook his head in exasperation. Thinking of Nangong Yan's words, a playful glint appeared in his eyes. Putting away his phone, Nangong Yan turned back to the 3 people and the cat. Seeing their questioning looks, he gave an okay sign to show it was handled. Let's go. Before they wake up, I might have to rough them up again. He said it as a joke, but the women gave him a look like he was a total bully. Seeing their reactions, Nangong Yan explained sheepishly, they were drunk, and I knocked them out. It's hard to wake up from that, but they'll probably be hurting when they do. And if they see you, they'll come after you. What else could I do? Listening to Nangong Yan's explanation, they nodded in understanding and followed him on their way home. You know, it's a good thing I walked you home, or that could have been a disaster. Nangong Yan said, relieved. He'd just leveled up. Otherwise, with no experience in level 4 Tai Chi, it might not have been so easy. Hearing that, the 3 women's faces flushed slightly, then they were filled with fear. Yeah, thank goodness for Nangong, Yanjun. Otherwise, would they be stuck at Nangong's place from now on? The 3 women thought simultaneously. By the way, Yen-san, how are you so good at fighting? Xia Jicho Shiyu asked, curious. Yeah. I'm curious too. I really added. Kato Megumi looked on, waiting for his answer. That's not even good at fighting. Just a few drunk guys who can barely stand. As long as you know some basic self-defense, you can do it. Nangong Yan waved his hand dismissively. They dropped off Kasumigakaka Shiyu and I really. Nangong Yan didn't see Kasumigakaka Shiyu's parents, but he did see Irili's mother, Sawamura Sayuri. Sawamura Sayuri's eyes kept darting between Irili, Nangong Huan, and Kato Megumi, until Irili turned bright red, and her mom had that I see everything look. Irili gritted her teeth and pushed her inside. Sayuri Sawamura only managed to squeeze out one sentence, "Hamura, come over and visit anytime." Before disappearing, Nangong Yan scratched his head awkwardly and said nothing. Mission accomplished. We got you home safe. At Kato Megumi's door, Nangong Yan took Yang from Kato Megumi, sighing with relief, seeing that the little guy didn't have any reaction. He smiled at Kato Megumi and said, "Looks like Yang's gotten used to you." "That's great." Kato Megumi reached out, touched the cat's head, and said, "Really? That's good. I like Xiaoyang a lot too." Then, "See you tomorrow, K." "See you tomorrow, Flame Lord, good night." "Good night." Nangong Yan waved and headed home with the cat. P.S. The Aromanga Sensei title is something the author added, please don't read too much into it. Chapter 23. You are listening at novelfull.audio. When Nangong Yan got back, he said hi to Suguru, but she was on the phone and didn't respond. He figured it was probably Sajiri's mom and carried Yang back to his room. He set the little critter on the bed, ready to finish what he was working on. After wrapping up episode 3 of Monthly Girls Nozaki-kun, he checked his system. Level 3, 290/300, Nangong Yan. Seriously? Where'd all that come from? Do I get XP for punching people now? His head started to pound. No hints about how to get experience points at all. Did the system's coding just go haywire? Why wouldn't they add something that important? Guess I can't sweat the small stuff, he muttered to himself. Seeing he only needed 10 more points to level up, he decided to do it now. He went over to Yang, who was looking at him funny. "Hey, little buddy, I'm gonna try out a new skill. Tell me how you feel afterward, okay?" Yang, meow. "Oh. Got it." Hearing Yang's agreement, Nangong Yan opened the pet interface and activated the training skill. Yang immediately stood up, her eyes darting around, searching. After a minute, she pawed at something, sensing the air. 5 minutes later, the skill wore off, and Yang stopped. Nangong Yan looked at his and Yang's updated stats. Character name, Nangong Yan. Level, 4, 10/400. Energy, 90/100. Skill points, 2. Pet name, Yang. Level, 1213. Pet status, fullness, 76 out of 100. Cleanliness, 85 out of 100. Health, 100 out of 100. Mood, 80 out of 100. Training costs 10 energy points and gives 20 experience points. Huh. The little dude leveled up. Better ask her. "Yang, how do you feel?" Nangong Yan asked, curious. "It feels like I suddenly learned something, but I can't really say what," Yang said hesitantly. "And I feel a little bummed." You're probably just bummed because your mood's low, right? Okay, if you don't like it, I'll give you the works. With that, he started cleaning, petting, and grooming her. The little cat sprawled out contentedly, a smile creeping onto her feline face. Though it looked kind of weird, seeing her expression, Nangong Yan almost burst out laughing, but then he got confused. She didn't look like this last time. Maybe it's just the mood boost that's making her pull that face. Forget about analyzing it. Bedtime. After that, Nangong Yan got ready for bed. Soon, he and Yang were fast asleep. The next day, in the afternoon, after school at Toyosaki Academy, Nangong Yan and his friends were walking home, chatting about what happened last night and about your name. Suddenly, Eruri piped up. "Hey, Nangong, did you submit your manga yet?" "Nah, I'm gonna scan and upload it when I get back." He noticed Eruri seemed hesitant about something. "What's up? Something wrong?" he asked. "Well, before you upload it, could we maybe take a peek at your new art?" Eruri said sheepishly. Shiyu Kasumigakaka and Megumi Kato nodded enthusiastically, agreeing with Eruri. He felt both helpless and pleased at their reactions. It was cool that a good comic was popular no matter what universe it was in. But it was also a little much having all his readers right here in his house. "Sure, no problem. I'll upload it after you've had a look," he replied. Eruri perked up, and Shiyu and Megumi smiled. The group was in high spirits. Sajiri. I'm home. We're here too. *3 that they all waited for Yang to show up. Sure enough, they heard a thump, and the little cat came bounding down the stairs and leaped into Nangong Yan's arms. The three girls looked on enviously. Humph. You and Xiaoyang are way too close. Eruri said, her voice dripping with jealousy. Megumi stepped forward and stroked Yang's back, but the cat didn't react at all. Shiyu's eyes lit up, and she also reached out to touch her, but the little dude just turned her head and climbed onto Nangong Yan's shoulders. Shiyu Kasumigakaka. Ha ha ha. Look who's getting snubbed. Eruri cackled, clutching her stomach. Shiyu said angrily, oh yeah. Why don't you give it a shot, Sawamura-san? Eruri's laughter died instantly, and she muttered resentfully, whatever. I'll win her over eventually. Nangong Yan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Alright, you two, give it time, you'll get along with Yang eventually. Let's read the manga first. Eruri was instantly recharged. Yes. Let's go read comics. She dashed toward Nangong Yan's room, with Shiyu and Megumi hot on her heels. They knew it was better to read together and not delay his upload. Nangong Yan shook his head with a smile and went to put away the groceries in the kitchen. Before he could make it back to his room, Eruri's laughter rang out again. Ha ha ha. This new character. Are there any normal people here? Nangong Yan walked into the room and replied, there are a few normal people. They'll show up later. Nangong, there's no way your manga doesn't get ranked. Eruri declared after reading. Oh. If Ms. Miles Kashiwagi says so, I can rest easy. Nangong Yan said teasingly. Ah. You jerk. Don't say that name. Eruri went ballistic. Shiyu smiled and said, calm down, Sawamura-san. Getting worked up won't help. Shiyu Kasumigakaka. Yes, yes. Seeing the two of them bickering, Nangong Yan couldn't help but say, you guys get along so well. Yeah. No. They both said at the same time, contradicting each other. Then, they started arguing again. Sorry for being so noisy, Mr. Yan, Megumi said to Nangong Yan while petting Yang. Ha. It's fine, it's better when things are lively, not to mention. Nangong Yan trailed off, watching the two argue. They're not really fighting. Deep down, if something actually happened to one of them, the other would definitely be worried. Megumi said thoughtfully, you really understand them, Mr. Yan. Nah, it's pretty obvious. They have that enemies to friends thing going on. They don't really hate each other. Then he looked at Megumi and said, not to mention, you know them both, but you do too, Megumi, right? What? Megumi was confused. For all of us, no matter what happens, you must be really worried, right? It was a question, but his tone was confident. Megumi didn't answer directly, saying almost inaudibly, maybe, right? The corners of Nangong Yan's mouth curved into a slight smile. Chapter 24. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At 10 p.m., Nangong Yan wrapped up his work, stretched, and asked, Shiyu-senpai, Eruri, how's the progress coming along? The basic structure is done. Honestly, if this were an anime movie, we'd be golden with just the skeleton. Kasumigakaka Shiyu said wistfully, true, anime movies are under 2 hours, so the plot needs to be tight. Pretty much every scene is crucial. But if you're making a game or drawing a comic, you need to fill in the gaps, add some meat to the bones. I mean, we can't just make a text adventure and call it quits after 2 hours, right? So, the next step with the script is exactly that, adding subplots, throwing in some minor characters. The artist needs to design those supporting characters according to the script. The settings, storyboards, and backgrounds. That's Eruri's domain, and everything else. That's all on Nangong Yan. Where's Eruri? Nangong Yan asked, noticing her pause. Finished the hero and heroine designs, and the Mayamizu shrine background too. She handed Nangong Yan a drawing. Here, check it out. Wow! Amazing! Nangong Yan thought, impressed. She really lives up to the name Erori. He gave her a thumbs up and a grin. Erori laughed. Knock it off, you goof. The style's all wrong. Nangong Yan pulled out a few sketches and gave them to Erori. Here are some generic supporting characters I drew based on your Mayamizu Mitsuha. Just in case we need them. Think you can take a look? Then, he turned his laptop to Kasumigakaka Shiyu. And here are some short scenes I wrote. See if you can use them, Shiyu-senpai. Finally, he looked at Kato Megumi. Megumi, how about you? Anything in the manuscript not making sense? Kato Megumi shook her head. I'm good, Yen-kun. If anything confuses me, I'll ask. Cool, good to know you'll speak up. He then turned back to the other two. So? Character design's okay? Are the bridging scenes useful? Yeah, sure. Erori hesitated slightly. Nangong, you're taking care of all the characters, right? Then why do you need me? Erori, are you feeling a little insecure? Nangong Yan was puzzled. I told you, I don't have the bandwidth for all this. I'm already juggling a ton of stuff. I still need to draw my manga, and I've got a million stories brewing in my head. There's no way I can do all the work myself, not even close. Besides you, I need to find more artists and writers. Plus, once you're done with the early stages, the rest is pretty much all me. You can't do the programming or scripting, right? Megumi's studying hard, so don't overthink it. We've known each other for years, so don't let this come between us. Hearing Nangong Yan's genuine words, Erori said, a little embarrassed, sorry. I'm just being paranoid. Nangong Yan rolled his eyes playfully. I get it. Just try not to. Meanwhile, Kasumigakaka Shiyu, uncharacteristically, didn't tease Erori. She acted as if she hadn't heard anything and said to Nangong Yan, Yen-kun, your writing's good. I'll try to weave them naturally into the lives of Mayamizu Mitsuha and Tachibana Taki later. Awesome. Thanks, Shiyu-senpai. Then, Nangong Yan asked the million-dollar question, so, it's getting late. What's the plan for tonight? Sleepover, or do you want me to take you home? Nangong Yan looked directly at Kasumigakaka Shiyu, because she was the only one who might suggest going home. As long as she stayed, the other two would definitely stay too. Kasumigakaka Shiyu, feeling a little awkward under Nangong Yan's gaze, looked away slightly and said, I got permission from my family to stay over. Alright, follow me. Nangong Yan led the three girls upstairs, next to Sajiri's room and directly above the activity room. One room? Or separate rooms? Nangong Yan asked. One room's fine, isn't it big enough for one room? Erori asked, worried. More importantly, what if they got separate rooms and someone tried to sneak out? Plenty of space. It's all tatami mats in here, you can sleep anywhere. Nangong Yan explained. I just figured you two would start fighting and not want to share a room. Kasumigakaka Shiyu. Erori. Megumi Kato, what a spot-on assessment. Why would we fight in our sleep? Are we kids? Erori complained. Kasumigakaka Shiyu also rolled her eyes at him, saying, Is that really how you see me, Yen-kun? Nangong Yan said awkwardly, Don't you guys bicker all the time? That was too real. Seeing the atmosphere turning a bit sour, Nangong Yan quickly backtracked. Not fight, you just disagree a lot. Kato Megumi, Yen-kun, did you do that on purpose? That if it weren't for the cracks in the floorboards, Kasumigakaka Shiyu and Erori would have crawled back downstairs. Heh. Just a harmless little joke. Nangong Yan said with an obviously forced smile. The bathroom and shower are that way. It's getting late, so hurry up, wash up, and hit the hay. Good night. With that, he vanished in a flash. That jerk did that on purpose. Arori gritted her teeth. That's why, Sawamura-san, we mustn't argue. Otherwise, it'll really sting, Kasumigakaka Shiyu said pointedly. Most people would have let it slide, but Arori would probably jump at the bait. You. Humph. Barely holding back, Arori suppressed her anger and said, You think I want to argue with you? That she stormed into the room first. Kasumigakaka Shiyu raised an eyebrow, a little surprised, and followed her in. Seeing this, Kato Megumi murmured, Here's hoping for a peaceful night. In the hallway, Nangong Yan, who had been watching the three enter the room, peeked his head out, smiled slightly, and knocked on Sajiri's door. Brother, what's up? Sajiri poked her head out, looking slightly puzzled. Nothing big. 3 of my club members are staying at our place, right next door to you, so I figured I'd give you a heads up, Nangong Yan explained. Sajiri's face scrunched up slightly at the news, but she relaxed and nodded. Okay, got it, big brother. Huh? Aren't you surprised? Nangong Yan asked, surprised. Sajiri's reaction was unusually calm. Mom told me last night, Sajiri said in a complicated tone. Brother, why didn't you tell me you were in danger? Nangong Yan ruffled Sajiri's hair, smiling softly. I was afraid you'd worry. Besides, it wasn't a big deal. How could a few thugs possibly be a threat to your brother? Just don't hide things from me anymore. You big dummy. The little face under his hand turned red, and Sajiri raised her voice. Yes, I understand. Nangong Yan had no choice but to agree. Oh yeah, big brother, why didn't you come to me when you formed your club? Sajiri finally asked. Hearing Sajiri's question, Nangong Yan stared at Sajiri with a smile and said, Oh. Are you finally going to admit you can draw? Eromanga-sensei. Chapter 25. You are listening at novelfull.audio. What? Dude, are you serious right now? I have no clue who you're talking about. Sajiri's voice cracked with panic. Nangong Yan, amused by her unusual reaction, put his hands on her shoulders. What's the big secret? If I know, it's not the end of the world. Sajiri darted a quick glance at him, then looked away, asking in a hushed tone, Okay, spill it. How'd you find out? Asterisk from my past life, asterisk, but that was a can of worms he couldn't open. Aren't you always live streaming? Nangong Yan countered. Sajiri gave him a weird look. But you never even see my face. Knowing your sister's secret identity without seeing their face is a brother's superpower, isn't it? He nearly slipped up and said Siscon, dodging a bullet there. Sajiri's cheeks flushed again. So, if you already knew, why haven't you hit me up? I can draw, too. Oh, really? Nangong Yan gave a knowing smirk, dropping a hint. How about, you sketch a pin-up for me, Sajiri? With, ample curves. Sajiri's jaw dropped, completely speechless. Seeing her stunned, Nangong Yan backpedaled. Haha, kidding. If that's not your thing, plenty of other stuff to draw. Thing is, my current project isn't exactly cute or sexy. The characters are pretty vanilla, not your usual big-eyed, small-chested cuties. That's why I haven't asked for your help yet. But once I come up with a project that's more your style, you'll be the first person I call. Sajiri sounded a bit bummed out. She caught the subtext. If it's not cute or sexy, it's all about the plot. So it's not just the characters she couldn't do, but the settings and story, too. Sajiri wasn't feeling those. As an artist, Sajiri excelled at capturing character nuances, but she needed to personally connect with a character to draw it. Without that connection, she just couldn't get into it. So asking her to draw these kinds of great evil characters and scenes was going to be a challenge. Shaking off her disappointment, Sajiri declared, I'm going to work on the stuff I'm not good at. I'll be ready to help you out next time. Yes. He'd been waiting for her to say that. Sajiri's drive to improve would push her to grow. Sajiri's habits dictated that she was only able to draw things she felt familiar with, giving her plenty of opportunities to get in touch with other people and various things. Nangong Yan grinned inwardly. His little pep talk had worked like a charm. He decided to press his advantage. Why don't you start by getting to know the other artists in my club? We've got one who's a master at both characters and backgrounds. And you already know her. At the thought of having to contact others, Sajari immediately recoiled, but that last part was intriguing. Who is it? She asked, her eyes wide. Take a wild guess, Nangong Yan teased. Oh, come on, tell me. Sajari grabbed his arm and shook it playfully. Whoa. Nosebleed alert. Nangong Yan quickly pinched his nose. Okay, I'll tell you. Sajari looked at him strangely, waiting for the answer. It's Miles Kashiwagi. Nangong Yan said with a decisive move, cutting through the tension. Wait, that Kashiwagi Miles is living in our house. Sajari's jaw dropped, her voice much louder than normal. Nangong Yan shushed her frantically. Zip it. Keep it on the DL. Looking at Sajari with her eyes wide and her mouth covered, Nangong Yan was about to burst into tears. Nangong Yan gave her an evil smile and said, that guy is just like you. He will deny it crazily when he hears his pen name. When Sajari heard this, her little face turned to one side unnaturally. Interested in meeting up? If you're free, I can set up a meet tomorrow after school. Nangong Yan said to Saguri. After struggling for a long time, Saguru looked at Nangong Yan and said hesitantly, well, can't it be done through the internet? You have known each other on the internet for a long time, right? So what's the point of doing this? Nangong Yan objected. Sajari's little face wrinkled up, and after struggling for a while, she had to say, then, only teacher Kashiwagi Miles can come in, and no one else can. Deal. That's a huge step forward already. Nangong Yan agreed. This is already a great progress. Kashiwagi's practically family. She's known about you forever, but since you're always inside, you wouldn't know her. As soon as he said that, he saw Sajari visibly relax. Yeah, even if she only knew the family, it was still not an outsider, so it might be easier to get along with. He touched Sajari's little head again. Nangong Yan is ready to end tonight's conversation. Alright, that's enough for tonight, it's late. Time for bed. He paused, remembering something. Oh yeah, is Yang with you? Sajari nodded, a happy little smile spreading across her face. Yep. She's been with me since dinner. Seems Sajari really liked little Yang. Looking at her, Nangong Yan said, then let Yang sleep with you tonight. Sajari's face lit up. Really, Onia-chan? Sure, as long as you don't squish her in your sleep, she'll be fine. I'm not an idiot, I'd never do that. Sajari huffed, cheeks puffed out. Nangong Yan laughed. Okay, good this time around. Get back to your room, and go to bed. I'm heading to bed as well. Night, Onia-chan. Night. Watching Sajari close the door, Nangong Yan went back to his room. After drawing another episode of Monthly Girl, he called it a day. The next morning, 4 people and a cat were eating breakfast in the dining room. While everyone was enjoying their meal, Kasumigakaka Shu and Irie also had a quarrel. Kato Megumi looked at this and that, not knowing what he was thinking. Nangong Yan looked at this scene and sighed in his heart. He didn't expect that his home would be so lively just a few days after traveling through time. Irie's mouth felt dry as she spoke, so she picked up the milk and prepared to moisten her throat before fighting Kasumigakaka Shiyu. Nangong Yan shook his head helplessly and was about to drink the last milk. Kato Megumi's slightly confused voice sounded in the ears of others. Speaking of which, are we living together? Sputter. That was Nangong Yan and Irie. Ahem. This is Kasumigakaka Shiha. The 3 of them thought at the same time. Isn't this what you should say when eating? Yang raised his head and glanced at everyone strangely. What are these humans doing? Then he immersed himself in eating. The 3 of them were cleaning up the messy tabletop in front of them, and Kato Megumi's voice came again. Yen-kun, your milk is all over my face. Boom! Nangong Yan was hunched over the table, holding his head and not knowing what to say. The sentence was innocuous enough, so why did his mind always take it the wrong way? Chapter 26. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Kasumigakaka Shiyu and Erori were floored. Who is this airhead? Is that Megumi Kato? Hui, what's gotten into you? You're acting totally bizarre today, Kasumigakaka Shiyu said, suspicious. Erori was practically pulling her hair out. Hui. Wipe your face, quick. Before Kato Megumi could react, Erori lunged forward and wiped the white liquid, milk, off Kato Megumi's face. Oh, well, it's just that it's my first time staying over at a classmate's house, and a guy's house at that, so it hasn't really sunk in yet. Plus, we have breakfast together, then go to school, and after school, we come back together for club activities, and then stay overnight. Kato Megumi concluded calmly, living together doesn't seem that weird. It was delivered with such sincerity that Nangong Yan and the others were left speechless. Yeah, there was no real logic flaw. You just had to chalk it up to human thinking being too complicated. Ahem. Living together might be pushing it a bit. It's more like pseudo-cohabitation. Nangong Yan corrected her, trying to salvage the situation. Xia Jiqiu Shiyu. Erori. What a load of bull, they both thought at the same time. Kato Megumi nodded, understandingly. Oh, yeah, I guess that makes sense. You're agreeing with him? Kasumigakaka Shiyu and Erori stared blankly at Kato Megumi, baffled and totally unable to figure her out. Seeing Kato Megumi's reaction, Nangong Yan sighed in relief and said quickly, everyone's done eating, right? Time to hit the road. Kasumigakaka Shiyu and Erori got the message, quickly cleaned up, and then they all headed out. Sajiri. We're off to school, boom, star, huh. The little shut-in actually replied. Even though it was just a grunt, it was still a major breakthrough, on the way to school. Speaking of which, Nangong, you submitted your comic, right? What pen name did you use? Erori asked, a little curious. Nangong Yan said casually, pen name? I didn't put much thought into it. I just wrote Nangong and uploaded it. Oh. How surprising. I thought you'd have something flashier. Xia Jiqiu Shiyu said, giving him a second, appraising look. Nangong Yan knew he was being pretty lazy about it, but what could he do? Call himself a porter. Nah, that was He Chen's thing. Or just Nangong Yan. Or Nirvana. After a while, Nangong Yan just got tired of thinking and figured Nangong was good enough. Simple and to the point. Nothing surprising about it. I haven't been an edgy teenager for years, Nangong Yan said. You're overthinking it, Senior Shiyu. Then I wish Teacher Nangong every success. Erori said, patting Nangong Yan on the shoulder. Don't tease me, Nangong Yan said with a wry smile. No way. I'm totally serious. This is my most heartfelt blessing. Erori said, denying it 3 times to hammer home that Nangong Yan was reading too much into it. Nangong Yan just gave her a thumbs up and grinned. Ha! I keep telling you to stop doing that. It doesn't suit you at all. Erori cracked up. The group walked to school, laughing and joking. The combination of handsome guys and beautiful girls drew the attention of passers-by. Their day on campus had begun. Mankey Bookstore, within the review and editing team of Mankey Weekly New Cartoonist Contest. Several comic editors are doing preliminary reviews of a large number of manuscripts, screening the qualified works based on years of experience. Those that fail are rejected, those that pass advance to the next stage, where the judges of the next stage will give detailed scores. What is this garbage? Manga editor Ayano Ida stared at the thing calling itself manga in front of her, veins bulging on her forehead. Why is it always the same thing, trial after trial? Is there any submission that I can actually pass? Ida Ayano was beginning to question her life. You couldn't blame her. If the art sucks, how can anyone pay attention to the story? Not every submission can be One Punch Man. Ugh. Not again. It's like poison. Skip it fast, or you might die from toxicity. To fill the gaps in Mankey Weekly's lineup, everyone had to keep searching, like looking for a needle in a haystack. It was a newcomer contest, after all, but the editors didn't expect this. Zero foundation. Should have learned to draw first, then submitted. Ida Ayano said to herself, full of resentment, I'm going to tell the editor-in-chief we need to use AI for preliminary screening. Let the computer weed out the duds before we even look at them. Huh. The illustrations in this one are actually pretty good. Suddenly, she came across a submission that caught her eye, surprising her a little. Could it be a pro using a fake name? Looking at the pen name Nangong, Ida Ayano thought for a second and realized she had no recollection of that name. What a great artist. I wonder what the plot is like. With that thought, manga editor Ayano Ida dove into the world of Monthly Girls Nozaki-kun. Ha! Cough, she burst out laughing, immediately clamping down on it and startling everyone in the room. Ida Ayano subconsciously covered her mouth, her face red from trying not to laugh. The other editors looked over, curious, and a female editor asked, "What's up? Did you find something good, Ida?" Ida Ayano didn't say anything, just smiled and waved her over. Seeing this, not only the female editor was curious, but the other editors also came over to see what kind of work it was. The editor, who had seen many battles, didn't hold back and just laughed. After a moment, the laughter rose, one after another, and laughter is contagious. Even if one person holds back, looking at the appearance of others, they all laughed. The editor-in-chief just came in to inspect and was stunned when he saw this situation. What's wrong? When he came behind everyone, he found that the crowd was too tight and couldn't see inside, so he pretended to cough twice. Ah! The editor-in-chief is here, come in and take a look. The female editor who first asked the question noticed him and hurriedly pulled him into the crowd. The editor swallowed everything he wanted to say. Hurry up, make room, the editor-in-chief is here, please make room. He dragged the editor to Ayano Ida and said to her, Editor Ida, please show it to the editor. Maybe we can finally achieve our competition goal. Hearing this, Ayano Ida quickly returned to the first page, and then said to the editor, Editor, this is a work that I just discovered that can be called a masterpiece. Both the drawing style and the plot are excellent. Come and take a look. The editor-in-chief could feel everyone's reaction, and he was sure that he had discovered a good work. He felt a little confused in his heart, but without saying anything, he looked directly at the work. Nangong. The editor-in-chief was surprised, looked at Ayano Ida, and asked, Where are the details of this contributor? Let me see. Ida Ayano felt a little strange but still pointed out the detailed information. Nangong, let me take a look. This address, sure enough, the editor-in-chief muttered to himself and was a little confused. Could it be that, the contributor is Master Nangong? Chapter 27. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Master Nangong. Ayano Ida echoed, hearing the editor-in-chief mutter to herself. The editor-in-chief ignored her and dove straight into the manuscript. He ripped through all 3 chapters in no time. Guess that's why he's the top dog, she thought. Unlike the other editors, his face remained impassive. The editor-in-chief nodded, a smile spreading across his face. Excellent. Truly a gem. Ida, you're on point for signing this one. Ayano Ida was taken aback. Now. But the contest isn't over. This case is different. If this really is the Master Nangong, we need to lock this down. Competition be damned. The editor-in-chief explained. The contest rankings will be announced later, but that won't affect the contract. Ayano Ida nodded, understanding dawning. Sir, could you tell me who this Master Nangong is? The editor-in-chief paused, considering. Well, since you'll be his editor, it's fine to fill you in. He then gestured for the other editors to leave. The other editors cast envious glances at Ayano Ida as they returned to their desks. Once they were alone, the editor-in-chief pulled Ayano Ida aside and whispered. Our Mankey bookstore is owned by the Nangong family. With that, the editor-in-chief left, leaving Ayano Ida standing there, her expression now clear. No wonder. Ayano Ida murmured to herself, a smile playing on her lips. I'm really looking forward to meeting this Master Nangong. She then headed back to her desk, her steps light. Toyozaki Academy. Nangong Yan was having lunch with the three girls. Shiyu Kasumigakaka finished a bite of her lunch and sighed, I never expected you to pack lunch for us, Yen. I feel bad troubling you like this. It's no trouble. It's the same food I make for myself, just a bigger portion. Plus, Huey's been a big help, which makes it easier, Nangong Yan said, waving off her concern. Buzz, his phone vibrated. Nangong Yan glanced at the screen. An unknown number. I need to take this call, he said to the girls before answering. Hello, is this Mr. Nangong? A mature female voice came through the line. Mr. Nangong. Nangong Yan thought for a moment, then realized it was probably about the manga. Wow, Ing Lily really runs her mouth. And she told them this morning. Yes, this is Nangong. Who is this? Nangong Yan replied politely, figuring it was the editor. Ida Ayano was surprised by his youthful voice. It had to be the Master Nangong. Hello, Mr. Nangong, I'm Ayano Ida, a manga editor from Mankey Weekly. I'm calling regarding your comic, Monthly Girls. Ayano Ida stated the purpose of her call calmly. Ayano Ida. Nangong Yan was slightly surprised. Wasn't she Shina Mashiro's editor? This crazy world kept throwing him for a loop, but he quickly regained his composure. The voice on the other end spoke again, Mr. Nangong. Sorry, I'm a little surprised. Has the competition ended? Why are you calling about a contract already? Nangong Yan asked, confused. True, but that doesn't prevent us from signing you. The rankings will be announced after the competition. Nangong Yan got it. High potential works get preferential treatment. They probably worried he'd get poached by another publisher. I'm happy to sign, but I'm at school right now. Nangong Yan said sheepishly, Ida, can we meet in a couple of days? Maybe Saturday to discuss the signing. Sure, Mr. Nangong. Where should we meet on Saturday? Ida Ayano asked. Nangong Yan thought about Sajiri's fear of strangers and said, I'll leave that up to you. Alright, I'll pick a spot and let you know. I won't keep you. Goodbye, Mr. Nangong. Ida Ayano said. No problem, see you then. After hanging up, he saved Ayano Ida's number. He looked up at the three girls, who were practically vibrating with curiosity. Nangong Yan shrugged. Go ahead, ask. Ing Lily blurted out, Nangong, was that the editor? About Monthly Girls? Yep, I was surprised too. I just uploaded it yesterday, and they called me today. Shiyu Kasumigakaka then asked, Yen, hasn't the competition ended yet? Why were you talking about signing a contract? Nangong Yan smiled. They're afraid I'll run off to another publisher, so they're trying to lock me down in advance. Finally, Megumi Kato asked, so you're definitely signing? But even if he had been on the fence before, hearing the name Ayano Ida sealed the deal. Nangong Yan nodded. Yeah, I was going to have her come over to my place this weekend to discuss the details. But then I remembered how shy Sajiri is, so I let her pick the location. Oh yeah. Speaking of Sajiri, Nangong Yan remembered his promise and said to I told Sajiri you'd meet her in her room after school today. I really looked like she'd seen a ghost. Sajiri wants to see me today. Hasn't she refused to see anyone since she moved in? What did you do? Nangong Yan took a step back, smiling awkwardly. I told Kashiwagi Miles about the sleepover, and she reluctantly agreed. You. Ing Lily jumped up, ready to pounce. Nangong Yan took off. Stop. Ing Lily shouted, chasing him. How many people are you going to tell about me? Nangong Yan weaved around Shiyu Kasumigakaka and Megumi Kato, protesting. We're the only ones who know. Plus, Sajiri's joining our club soon anyway, so it's okay for her to know. Haven't you two already met online? Besides, I want her to grow, whether it's painting or other aspects. Lily finally stopped, panting. Isn't she already amazing? She's famous in the industry, and I'm just a small fish in the fandom pond. Nangong Yan stopped as well, his expression serious. Sajiri still has weaknesses, and I know you both can get better. It would be great for you two to learn from each other. Lily didn't respond, but judging by her face, she reluctantly agreed with Nangong Yan's words. Shiyu Kasumigakaka raised a question. Yan, is there really nothing that Hui and I can help with? Chapter 28. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hearing Shiyu Kasumigakaka, Yan Nangong threw up his hands. What can I do? Sajiri and Irie know each other online. Our families are tight. Sajiri just clicks with Irie more. Megumi Kato and Shiyu Kasumigakaka felt a pang of sympathy, wondering when they'd finally meet Hamura's sister. Seeing their lack of excitement, Yan Nangong reassured them, don't sweat it. Sajiri's coming around. She actually saw me the other day. Since she's seeing Irie today, it won't be long before she meets you guys. Shiyu Kasumigakaka sighed. Well, I'm looking forward to that day. After lingering for a bit, everyone scarfed down the rest of their lunch and ended their break. Ayano Ida listened to the busy signal and hung up her phone. Gotta find the perfect place. Gotta think this through. Ayano Ida mused, considering the age, gender, and profession of a certain manga artist, Mr. Nangong. She grinned mischievously. Maybe. Akihabara's the ticket. Asterisk, she couldn't wait to see Mr. Nangong's face when he found out where she'd set it up. Alright. That's it. Time to pick a store and get this done. With that, Ayano Ida sprang into action. That afternoon, back at the Nangong house, Yan Nangong and Irie stood outside Sajiri's room. Irie looked a little jittery. She was about to meet Nangong's sister, Sajiri, aka Teacher Eromanga. Seeing her nervousness, Yan Nangong asked, Ready, Irie? Ready for what? We're just meeting Sajiri, right? What's there to prepare for? Irie asked, Oh, Irie, you sweet summer child, it's one thing if Sajiri hadn't seen you, but after she does, that Teacher Eromanga who's got a thing for cute girls is gonna go full-on creeper. Yan Nangong said solemnly, oh, just brace yourself mentally. Oh, I already did. Just a little nervous. I'll be fine once we actually meet, Irie said, sounding totally unconcerned. Nope, that ain't it. Irie, you are definitely not prepared enough. But hey, maybe it won't be so bad, right, star? Okay, here goes the knock. Shaking off his worries, Yan Nangong rapped on Sajiri's door. Sajiri, it's me. Open up. Time to make good on our deal from last night. Sajiri peeked out, but why was she wearing a mask? Sajiri. Why the mask? Yan Nangong asked. Sajiri, looking guilty, took a step back and whispered, well. I never said I couldn't wear a mask. Irie's eye twitched. Nangong, is this what Teacher Eromanga looks like during her streams? Yan Nangong shrugged helplessly. Yep, that's Sajiri in broadcast mode. Nobody knows me by that name. Sajiri retorted, flustered. While Sajiri was distracted, Yan Nangong snatched the mask right off her face. Before either of them could react, he bolted. You two have fun. Yan Nangong yelled, waving the mask in the air. Startled by Yan Nangong's sudden move, Irie stared at the frozen Sajiri and stammered, I'm Irie Spencer Sawamura. Our families have been friends forever. You might not know me, but I've known about you for a while now, Sajiri. Listening to Irie's introduction, Sajiri sized her up, then became completely fixated on Irie's appearance. Gihi, she's so pretty and cute. Sajiri blushed and stared at Irie with an unsettling expression, sending shivers down Irie's spine. What's with this kid? Erori thought, a little freaked out. Why does she look like a total perv? By this point, Sajiri had already dragged Erori inside. Looking at Sajiri's room, it felt like a giant maw, making Erori want to escape. Nangong. You totally set me up. Remembering Yan Nangong's earlier reaction, this was Erori's last thought before she fell into the clutches of, well, you get the picture. Yan Nangong looked up and sighed with relief, it's okay, Erori, you got this. Sajiri can't force you to do anything you don't want to, Yan Nangong headed downstairs. Megumi Kato heard him and asked, how'd it go, Yen-kun? Yan Nangong, with a faraway look in his eyes, said, no problem. Smooth sailing, Megumi Kato. Hey, Yen-kun, could you at least look at me when you answer? As if sensing Kato Megumi's thoughts, Yan Nangong added, well, even if they can't talk much, they can still draw. Share some tips. Even if it's mostly Sajiri doing the drawing, star. Speaking of which, where's Shiyu-senpai? Not seeing Shiyu Kasumigakaka, Yan Nangong changed the subject. Kato Megumi stared him down, making him uncomfortable, before finally saying, Shiyu-senpai is in the clubroom. Now that Yen-kun's down here, I'm gonna go study too. Yan Nangong nodded. Okay, Megumi, you go ahead. I'll be there in a bit. Once Kato Megumi had left, Yan Nangong called out to the little one, Yang. Where are you? The little guy bounded in from the yard and leaped onto Yan Nangong, stroking her soft fur. Yan Nangong asked, what were you doing out in the yard? The little guy glanced at him. Exercising. Good for you. We should go out and get some exercise on the weekends. Yang's words reminded Yan Nangong that he should actually use his Tai Chi skills instead of letting them collect dust. Hey, little one, how about I give you a training session, like last time? Remembering the training skill, Yan Nangong decided to give Yang another boost. Hearing this, the little guy remembered that even though she hadn't been thrilled last time, she'd definitely learned a thing or two, and she nodded in agreement. Seeing her agreement, Yan Nangong opened the system and activated the training skill. Yang's expression changed instantly. She stood up, constantly moving and sensing. When the skill effect wore off, Yan Nangong checked Yang's stats: pet name, Yang, level, 1315, pet status, satiety, 66 out of 100, cleanliness, 80 out of 100, health, 100 out of 100, mood, 80 out of 100. Huh. Why did she level up twice this time? Maybe it's because the little one was already exercising on her own, and that stacked with the skill effect. Yan Nangong decided to ask Yang how she felt. How'd it feel this time? The little guy hesitated. It's a little different. I feel like something about me has changed, but I can't really put my finger on it. Yan Nangong picked her up and inspected her carefully. Her appearance hadn't changed, and she hadn't gotten any bigger. Huh. Little one, do you seem a little heavier than before? Since his Tai Chi had reached LV6, Yan Nangong felt like his senses had gotten sharper. Yang's appearance hadn't changed, so maybe her physical strength had improved. Hearing this, Yang waved her paws in annoyance, and Yan Nangong chuckled. Sure, she was a cat, but she was still a girl who cared about her looks. Yan Nangong then went back to petting, stroking, and pampering her. While her cat face was all smiles, he pulled out his phone and snapped a few pictures. Looking at the photos, Yan Nangong thought it would be fun to show them off later. Chapter 29. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After letting the little one go off to play, Nangong Yan headed to the activity room. He found Kasumigakaka Shiyu engrossed in her work and, after a quick hello to Kato Megumi, settled at the long table to start his own. 20 minutes later, a loud boom erupted behind him. Nangong Yan instinctively turned around. Nangong! Lily shrieked, her voice filled with fury. Her hair seemed to stand on end like a golden lion's mane. Hey, Lily, you're back. Nangong Yan wiped his brow, feigning nonchalance. What's your deal? A crazed Lily began chasing Nangong Yan around the table in a cartoonish marathon. This sudden outburst interrupted Kasumigakaka Shiyu and Kato Megumi, who exchanged puzzled glances at the familiar scene unfolding before them. What's gotten into you two? Kasumigakaka Shiyu asked, raising her voice. It's Nangong. Lily managed to shout between breaths. He never mentioned his sister was a pervy uncle. She added, we need to take him down. Wait. Sexy uncle. Kasumigakaka Shiyu blinked, confused. Are you saying Yan's sister is, a guy? Seriously? Nangong Yan groaned, a dark line appearing on his forehead. What kind of twisted logic is that? How could my sister be a boy? Kato Megumi finally interjected, Yan, maybe you should explain, that she stopped the chase and firmly guided both of them to sit down, insisting on a clear explanation. Yinggalai's face still burned with indignation. I'm waiting to hear what you have to say, Nangong. Nangong Yan offered an awkward smile and began carefully, okay, you know Sajiri's pen name, right? You picked up on it pretty quickly when you met her. She's super shy. But, give her a beautiful, cute girl as a model, and Sajiri's Eromanga-sensei persona comes roaring out. She can't wait to draw every little detail, inside and out. So, yeah, that's basically it. He glanced at Lily, but her expression hadn't softened. She was still fuming. So what? When did I agree to be a model? Sensing another marathon brewing, Nangong Yan quickly held up a hand to stop her. Hold on, there's more. I didn't expect Sajiri to do this, but I think you're so beautiful and cute, Irie, that you really ignited Sajiri's Eromanga spirit. Yinggalai's anger visibly subsided, and her cheeks flushed. Nangong Yan started to breathe a sigh of relief, but then he felt two chilling glares pierce his back. Oh. He'd stepped in it. Trying to recover, he casually added, of course, I'm sure Sajiri would react the same way to Shiyu-senpai and Megumi. That the icy tension eased slightly, and Nangong Yan congratulated himself on his timely save. Yinggalai's blush lingered, but she finally huffed, fine. How are you going to make it up to me, then? Nangong Yan scratched his head, thinking hard. Then, he pulled out his phone. Let me show you something. It's my secret weapon. Lily narrowed her eyes suspiciously. What? Your collection? You're going to show me porn? Are you insane? I'm gonna see what this is all about. She thought, grabbing the phone. Kasumigakaka Shiyu and Kato Megumi also drifted closer, their curiosity piqued. The three girls stared at the photo of Yang, the kitten, on the screen. But it wasn't just any photo, the cat had a huge, goofy grin plastered across its face. Phew! Lily couldn't contain it any longer and burst out laughing, collapsing onto the table, her body shaking. She tried to stifle her giggles, but failed. Kasumigakaka Shiyu and Kato Megumi weren't faring much better and quickly turned away, each trying to hide their amusement. Nangong Yan smiled, too. As long as they're laughing, the crisis is averted. Thanks, little buddy. Out in the yard, Yang, who was chasing bugs, suddenly sneezed. After a while, Lily calmed down and asked, what did you do to Xiao Yang? How did you get her to do that? Nangong Yan shrugged, wearing an innocent look. Didn't do anything. Just gave her a little massage. Kasumigakaka Shiyu's eyes twinkled. Oh, so Yanjun has that kind of skill, huh? Massaging a cat until it smiles. How about a massage for me, then? Nangong Yan's casual demeanor vanished. Whoa, hang on. Those are pet-specific techniques. Unless you can be my, never mind, it's complicated. He glanced at the expectant looks on Lily and Kato Megumi's faces. This could be interesting, but I'm in deep trouble. He regretted his words. Alright, this weekend. I'll have plenty of time after the contract signing, and I'll give you all a massage, Nangong Yan offered. It was the only way out. He had to buy himself some time, brush up on his massage skills, and earn some more skill points. Well, I can't wait for the weekend. Kasumigakaka Shiyu said. Since Lily and Kato Megumi showed nothing but slight blushes and no objections, she had no choice but to agree. I'm going to go start dinner. It's about time to eat. Nangong Yan quickly excused himself and headed for the kitchen. As his footsteps faded, Kasumigakaka Shiyu turned to Lily with a sly smile. We owe Sawamura-san a debt of gratitude today. Huh? What do you mean? Lily demanded, annoyed. Well, thanks to you, we got to see that photo and we're going to get massages, right? Kasumigakaka Shiyu said, still smiling. I know, but it's still really annoying. Lily gritted her teeth. Here we go again, Kato Megumi sighed, watching the two begin to bicker. Nangong Yan cooked, his hands flying, his mind racing. Why did I suddenly spend another skill point? Seeing that he only had 4 left, Nangong Yan began to strategize. And I need professional massage skills that can make cats smile, at least master level. That's LV6. His head throbbed. Monthly girls will need more time to gain momentum for those early levels, but the weekend is here. After long thought, Nangong Yan finally decided to draw a new comic. It should be a heavier plot, different from comedies like Monthly Girls, so that the work doesn't affect the reader's impression of me. It would be difficult if readers thought that I only knew comedy, so when I signed the contract on Saturday, I would ask Ayano Ida to take a look. When dinner was finished and Nangong Yan was cleaning up, he finally settled on his second comic book. Nangong Yan muttered, The Promised Neverland. Chapter 30. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After his workout, Nangong Yan went back to his room. At dinner, Ida asked Sajiri how she felt about working with Irie, but just seeing Sajiri's suggestive expression, Nangong Yan knew the answer. Settling at his desk, Nangong Yan started to write, an orphanage, kids playing, and a mother figure for them all, radiating warmth, except for the kind of weird numbers tattooed on each kid's neck. It seemed perfectly normal, but in today's comic, our protagonist Emma welcomes a new day, a day that marks the end of dreams and the start of reality. Time passed slowly. Saturday arrived. Everyone had been hyped up last night about the day off, and now, after Nangong Yan strong-armed them, they were up for breakfast. Gotta have a full stomach before you can sleep, right? Kasumigakaka Shu and Irie were practically passed out on the living room sofa. Hui, though, was helping Nangong Yan. She'd been studying, not staying up late like those two. Nangong Yan, with his supercharged energy, didn't even feel tired. I think I've mastered LV5 cooking skills in the last few days. Nangong Yan thought. Cooking for 3 extra people and practicing like crazy probably did it. I'm already LV4, so absorbing LV5's techniques isn't a shock. Done. Megumi, set the table, and I'll take Sajiri her breakfast. He put Sajiri's meal on a tray, then called out, Yang. Where are you? Chow time. The little one zoomed out of nowhere, eyes glued to her cat food bowl, drooling like crazy. Nangong Yan was used to it and just smiled. Even after seeing it a couple of times, he still found it hilarious. Pfft. Irie covered her mouth, giggling. Seeing Yang's look, she couldn't help but laugh. It perked her right up. The way she waits for her food is just the best. So eager to please. Irie could watch Yang like this all day. Then she turned serious. But it just shows how tough she had it when she was homeless. Nangong Yan headed upstairs, saying, You've bonded over the last few days. Yang isn't as skittish around you anymore, so hang out with her when you can. It'll make her happy, and you can chill out too. Irie went over and scratched Yang behind the ears. The little thing just looked up, then went back to staring at her bowl. Irie, thrilled that Yang didn't pull away, grinned. Kasumigakaka Shu watched, half asleep, and decided to wait before joining in. She was worried that too much attention at once would freak Yang out. Kato Hui didn't say anything. She was already buddies with Yang. After breakfast, Irie and Kasumigakaka Shu went back to bed, while Kato Megumi and Yang did whatever they do together. Nangong Yan decided to get some exercise. He waved goodbye to Kato Megumi, Yang, and Sajiri, and headed out with a sense of excitement. Walking down the street, watching the cherry blossoms in full bloom, Nangong Yan felt fantastic. Reaching the park, he paused by a secluded cherry tree, watched it for a moment, and then started his routine. He got into position and began his Tai Chi, eyes closed. As he practiced, Nangong Yan felt like he was nailing it, smoothly applying his stored knowledge and improving with every move. To onlookers, Nangong Yan's fists flowed between rapid and slow, swirling like clouds and water, creating a vortex of cherry blossom petals. People stopped, stunned. What was going on? Someone asked, "Is this a movie shoot?" More and more people gathered, but nobody dared interrupt. Nangong Yan felt his energy shift, so he decided to wrap it up. Ida Ayano would probably call soon anyway. Just as he was about to leave, Nangong Yan remembered those scenes from movies and TV shows, and he got an idea. Hearing the crunch beneath his feet, Nangong Yan knew the petals would create a cool effect, so he adjusted his movements. Slowly, he finished his form, opened his eyes, and looked down at the Tai Chi symbol he'd inadvertently made. Nodding in satisfaction, he looked around in feigned surprise. A crowd had gathered, staring at him and the symbol like they were witnessing a miracle. Nangong Yan thought. He bolted before anyone could react. Whoosh! He vanished. The onlookers finally snapped out of it and tried to close in, but where did he go? They all looked at each other, baffled. On the way home, Nangong Yan sighed in relief. Thank goodness nobody asked to be my apprentice. Actually, someone was thinking about it, but Nangong Yan had been too quick. The king asked me to patrol the mountain. The ringtone startled him. Oh yeah, I recorded that one myself. The girls had teased him about it. Seeing Ida Ayano's name, Nangong Yan answered, "Hello? Ida?" "Yes, Nangong sensei. It's Ida Ayano. Do you have some free time now?" Her mature voice came through. "Sure do. Just finished exercising. Got all the time in the world." "Great. I've picked a place for our meeting. It's in Akihabara. Is that all right with you, Nangong sensei? Akihabara. Well, I can finally see what this world's Akihabara scene is like. Sounds good. Where in Akihabara? Nangong Yan asked. How about this? I'll text you the address, so you can find it easier. Ida Ayano didn't answer directly, but sent her location. Nangong Yan was a bit puzzled, but he agreed. Okay, I'll grab my stuff and head over. Looking forward to your arrival, sensei. Alright, see you soon. Nangong Yan hung up. He went home, grabbed the new monthly girls and the Promised Neverland volumes, told Kato Megumi where he was going, and rushed off to Akihabara. Arriving in Akihabara, Nangong Yan looked around at the booming otaku culture and got pretty excited. Following Ida Ayano's directions, he finally found the place. Looking at the shop, Nangong Yan's face fell. Why this place? His lip twitched as he read the sign, Maid Cafe.